Welcome to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network with your hostess, Jen Josie. Join like-minded real estate investors and accelerate your business towards greatness. You will hear step-by-step strategies for success, interviews with real estate rock stars, and we will dig deep into past projects where we bear it all, including the good, the bad, and some just plain ugly. So get excited. Here's the bestower of badassery herself, the real Jen Josie. Listener discretion is advised.
Hi, and welcome back. I'm Jen Josie, creator of RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Whoop, whoop. On today's episode, we have a guest that will be sharing their badassery. But before we begin, here's today's badassery bestowment, my little badass gift to you. Today's topic is referrals. The market has been so crazy lately. Since the inventory is low, sellers have been able to list just about anything, and it's flying off the market. And in addition to that, it goes for over the asking price too. This year, I got a little lazy when it came to our off-market inquiries. When a seller called us from our marketing material, if the property really didn't need much work, I would push them towards listing it. I would simply say, as much as I'd love to buy your property and then make a profit off it, you will get more bang for your buck if you just listed it. I would then refer them to a realtor on our team and collect 25% of their commission once it's sold. We made over $30,000 last year in referrals alone. Now, you do have to have your real estate license to collect a portion of their commission. However, if you don't, you can still refer that lead to a realtor and then ask that realtor to give you a lower commission on your next deal. Now, if the seller already has a realtor they want to use, then refer them out to some of your contractors. I have a painter and a carpet guy that I refer out all the time. I don't get a cut of their profits, but it definitely builds loyalty. These guys keep their prices down for me, and since I pimp them out a lot, if I need them in a pinch, I'm always bumped to the top of their list. So next time you meet a seller, if you don't get the deal, at least go for the referral. Now, on to today's episode of the Real Estate Investor Growth Network podcast. We have with us my new friend, Tadi Tedemet, also known as the Hot Wholesale, and she ain't lying, people. She started virtually wholesaling when she got laid off due to the pandemic. Since then, she's closed almost 40 deals and helps others learn how to virtually wholesale them as well. So welcome to the show, Hot Tadi.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Jen.
Yay! We met at Tim Brott's course recently, or what would you call it? Was it a course? Conference?
Yeah. I guess virtual event.
Virtual event. That's well said. And it was for commercial real estate, which is not what we're talking about today. But you and I were in one of these breakout rooms, and I had talked about being a podcaster, and you're like, I'll be on the show. And then I heard your story, and I was like, oh my gosh, I cannot wait to get her on the show. Then I started following you on Instagram, and I suck at Instagram, but you do not suck at Instagram. And you are definitely kicking ass on there, and you have such great posts, and it's interactive. It's awesome. So I am so happy to have a Instagram celebrity on my show today. Oh. Yes.
Not quite, but I think, thank you. Instagram definitely home for, I have a YouTube channel also. And I think, it kind of motivated me to keep going when it got hard. Everyone's like, you can do it. You got this. And it's so much better when you have a community.
Well, absolutely. And before we started recording, we were chatting, and I could have kept talking for an hour, but I want to hear a little bit more. I heard tiny bit of your story of how you got involved with virtually wholesaling, which we also need to get into, but tell us a little bit about your background before you got into real estate.
So I grew up in Vegas. So try to do the whole college thing. I got to college and I was really broke, and I'm just not the type of person who can be comfortable like that. So I was like, okay, I need to start making some money. So I was 19. I heard about wholesaling, and there was this guy, House Flipping Ninja. He had this class. I kind of took a look at it, put out 2 bandit signs. I was like, I'm going to get my real estate license. So I got my real estate license, and then I did nothing with it. I ended up getting a job selling timeshares, but it did give me, background. I had to pass a test, so I had to learn a lot about real estate. And then I just got into the Vegas industry, serving. I ended up working at an Italian restaurant. I was making really good money. I had my son and everything. And at that point, I kind of had given up on being a business owner. I tried a bunch of different businesses, cleaning businesses, food businesses. Nothing was working out. More so, I wasn't putting the effort into it. And I was just going to be a waitress forever. And then the pandemic came and I got laid off. I still had that business entrepreneur bug in me. And I was like, you know what? I think I can make something happen. Got online. And one of my guests at the restaurant a few months earlier was in real estate. He left a business card that said real estate problem solver. And when I asked him, hey, how did you get started? He said wholesaling. And I was taught by the House Flipping Ninja. So that just struck me as, okay, that's too big of a coincidence. Wholesaling must be what I'm meant to do right now. So I got on YouTube. Instagram, pretty much just Google, social media, what's the basics, what's wholesaling, what's an assignment, what's a double close, like started learning. And probably after 72 hours of doing nothing but that, I was like, I think I can do this. It looks like you just kind of set up a call center in your house and start calling people. So that's what I did. I worked at a call center before, and I figured if I could do it for them, I could do it for me. So I gave myself like, okay, I have 3 weeks and I'm going to see if someone's going to want to sell. And I started calling people in Las Vegas. And the first 2 weeks I called people in Las Vegas for like 6 hours a day. And it was crushing. It was so depressing. Everyone was like cussing me out. You're the 10th person to call me.
I hate cold calling. You have to have such thick skin. So I'm already impressed because I'm like, ain't doing it. So keep going.
No, well, so Vegas is, if you call Vegas, Los Angeles, New York, it's going to suck because how many other people are calling them? How annoyed are these people, by people who are trying to get them to sell their house because their house is worth so much, especially in Vegas. Houses are super expensive right now. So I wanted to give up. And then I was like, you know what? I kept seeing this guy on YouTube, Con, Wholesale to Millions, and he was virtually wholesaling. And he's Filipino and he has a super thick accent. Yeah, so he was cold calling people for hours with his accent. And I'm like, if he can do it, I can do it. I started looking at virtual wholesaling. And I followed him. I followed a couple other people who did virtual wholesaling. And I pulled a list in Ohio because in all of those groups, I just kept seeing houses in Ohio come up on Facebook groups. And I pulled a list in Ohio. And that first day, I was cold calling people. Like 3 people had good conversations with me, were thinking about selling, were open to selling. And I hadn't had one conversation like that in Vegas. So I was already excited. I guess flash forward, within the next 3 weeks, I had like 6 deals under contract.
Oh my goodness. In the first 3 weeks that you were doing this?
Yeah. So my first month that I actually started getting paid on these deals, I closed all 6 of them. I didn't have one fall through, and I made like 38 grand. And that was the most money I ever made the most money I ever made in my life.
Well, let's back up. What the hell is virtual wholesaling? What does that even mean?
So virtual wholesaling is the exact same thing as wholesaling, but you're not doing it in your market where you live. So
okay, so let's talk about wholesaling then. Let's go super basic for the listeners, just in case nobody's ever heard what wholesaling is. So explain what wholesaling is.
So wholesaling is basically selling the contract of a property versus selling the property. So if Jen wanted to sell her house and I don't have the money to buy her house and then go sell it to someone else, I can get in contract with Jen and then I can sell my rights to that contract to somebody else. So basically if Jen says, yeah, I'll sell my house for $30,000 and I know someone who will buy it for $40,000, I can make the $10,000 in between without having to ever spend money to actually buy the property and then resell it. So wholesaling is like flipping contracts, pretty much flipping houses without ever buying them. It doesn't really cost any money at all. the only money it would cost is whatever your cost is to reach sellers. So if you're walking around all day saying, hey, I buy houses, and find sellers and buyers like that, then you could do it for free.
So I hear of a lot of people starting out and they say, well, I have horrible credit. I don't have enough capital to buy a house. So I'm just going to go into wholesaling. But what they don't realize is that it costs a lot of money to do the marketing to find these sellers. So like, how much are you putting into marketing to get these phone numbers for you to call? Because I mean, I bet you're calling a ton of people. So how does all that work?
Yeah. So when I first started, it cost me $400 to set everything up. So I got a list off PropStream, which is a website you can use to get leads. I got a list of about 1,000, and then I skipped.
How much is PropStream a month? Because I know a lot of people use it. I've never used it. I hear great things about PropStream, but how much is it per month?
So the basic PropStream plan is $99 a month, and you can get 10,000 leads.
Oh, wow.
And then you can PropStream to comp. You can do so much with it. So it kind of is like your one-stop shop for virtual wholesaling. It's pretty much necessary. PropStream or something like PropStream is very necessary because you're not going to have access to the realtors MLS, the multiple listing service. You're not going to have access to that in every market. So PropStream, got a list from there of like 1,000.
What type of list?
The list that I got, my very first list was an absentee vacant list. So before getting too deep, to get too deep into it, but when I pull lists and I started off like that, I think when you're virtually wholesaling, everything is important, from the market you're choosing to the list you're pulling to how you're contacting people. It's not just do this and it's going to work. You have to be intuitive, and it's kind of like when you're dancing with someone, you can tell they don't like you. You have to like dance a different way, just to say dance, something like PG-13. But you have to listen to the cues of the market. So it's not as easy as just pull this kind of list and then do this marketing. The list you pull needs to make sense. So at the time, COVID had just hit, and I thought to myself, who right now would want to sell? Someone who owns a home probably is not going to want to sell, because where are they going to go? This COVID thing is really scary. People who have tenants aren't going to be able to sell, because where are the tenants going to go? So I went for vacant properties. So I went for vacant properties in the hottest zip codes of the market I chose, which at the time, my first virtual market, was Cleveland, Ohio, which is still my main market. And so I called a vacant list in the hottest zip code of people who had high equity. So they owned 100% of their property. So a lot of people I got were people who lived out of state, who had this just house that's been abandoned for years. And now it's the pandemic and no one knows what's going to happen or what their funds are going to look like. So now they're ready to get rid of these properties. So I do attribute a lot of my success to that. When other people probably were scared and pulled back their marketing, I just got started. So I probably got a ton of deals, because now that I've been doing it for almost 2 years, every month's definitely not 6 deals. That was a great first month. But that first list did really well. I got a dialer system, which the one I was using at the time cost $150 a month.
What does a dialer system do?
So a dialer system is where you put the list in with the people's phone numbers. And you get their phone numbers by skip tracing. Skip tracing is like a service that will return you phone numbers. And I used REI Skip to do that at the time. So I got my list from PropStream. I used REI Skip to skip trace. I put them into a dialer system called Phone Burner, and it basically turns your computer into a call center. As soon as you put all the people into Phone Burner, it gives you a phone number to call. You call that number, and it connects you to this like virtual phone that just calls people nonstop. So I don't have to push any buttons. It just calls, and then the next person, and then the next person. So I'm able to call like 800 people in 3 or 4 hours, versus it would take me 2 weeks to do that if I was just calling them on my cell phone.
Wow.
So I learned about the auto dialer from YouTube as well. So I basically, the 72 hours of me watching YouTube I was able to put all those pieces together to kind of create that system for me to call people, lock up deals, and then finding the title companies. All the steps of it, I literally learned off YouTube videos. And that was it, $400 and a lot of time. I would wake up at 6 a.m., which was 9 a.m. Cleveland time. Well, I'd wake up at 5:30 to start calling at 6:15. And then I wouldn't get off the phone until like 2 or 3 p.m.
Wow.
And because my mom just sold her house and she was living with me like in between, and it was COVID. So she was scared to tour houses. This is like the beginning of COVID when nobody knew what was going to happen, if we could wear masks or not. Like it was just chaos. So we were basically like, we're not leaving the house. So she was just taking care of my son. So I would wake up really early and I would just be on the dialer all day. And she would come in and be like, you didn't eat, and give me like an avocado sandwich. And then she'll come back and be like, you need to get off. And your son has been here all day, like without you. And I'm like, okay, fine. But I feel like I'm so close. And everyone I know had a lot of doubts. They were like, is that legal? You're going to get in trouble. Are you, like just so many, you're wasting your time. It's not going to work. You're wasting your money. You don't have a lot of money saved up from when you were waitressing. Why would you spend it on this call system and lists of people? Like, what are you doing? You need to be smarter with your money. Everything was like doubt from everybody. Even like my son's dad and I were just getting divorced at the time. So even him, he's like, what are you doing? You don't have a job stability and you're here spending all your money and all your time. So it was a lot. It was a lot. But.
And Tadi, I just got to say, you showed them. Like, it is so unbelievable to me because I'm a coach. I have people who pay money, thousands of dollars to join coaching programs. I have paid thousands of dollars for my own coaches. And you are this rare entity that spent 72 hours on freaking YouTube and figured out how to do all this shit. And I'm like, you just blow me away with this. And I got to also say, like, your branding of that has definitely helped, I'm sure, because you are the Hot Wholesale. You're at the Hot Wholesale, correct? On Instagram?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm Tadi, so I'm Hot Tadi, right? That's what everyone's always called since, college and stuff. And then when I started my wholesale Instagram, I was like, I don't know what to call it. I'm gonna call it Hot Wholesale because I'm already Hot Tadi. And if you go back onto like my first Instagram post, it's literally me like starting a dialer, like, okay, I don't know if I'm gonna what's about to happen. Like I literally put one of those mounting desks in my tiny bedroom because I gave my mom the master room when she sold her house, and I'm in this closet room. And that was like my what is it called on Wolf of Wall Street? The boiler room. Yeah, that was like my room. But I was already a salesperson, so I feel like it was just figuring the system out that was tough. But all the sales stuff, because I had sales training already, like mirror and match, like all that stuff was already ingrained in me from timeshare sales, which at the time I was 19, but I killed at it. It was so, their training was so good. I was able to take that with me. It's so funny, but I had another job at a general contractor too, where I learned a lot about repairs. So all that kind of with the real estate license, like those three things kind of came together and gave me a really solid foundation to be able to do this business. Because you're right, it's not easy. And I help people get started right now too. And I can't just transfer like all of that knowledge that I had from those things. I can't just easily transfer that. I can only tell them what I've done with wholesaling.
Well, a lot of my students are listening to this and they're thinking, well, why did I have to spend all that money for the coaching program? But you have since invested in yourself and have grown further from it and have been part of other masterminds and things like that. So talk a little bit about that, like other education programs that you have done since then and how it's helped you grow your business.
Yeah, definitely. Pretty much everything. So when I first started, everything was very rudimentary. I'm writing my leads down on a piece of paper. I had no organization, no structure. And then I was doing okay. I was doing some deals. And then I went to a mastermind in San Antonio with Quentin Flores, Real Estate Monster, who was one of the people I had been watching on YouTube and Instagram. I go to his mastermind and I learned so many different strategies, systems, VAs, what VAs do, which are virtual assistants like in the Philippines. I just learned so much more, even things I was able to add to my script. And then that changed the game. It turned it up. And then last summer, I went to the REI Sift Mastermind and the Hustle Implementers Mastermind, which changed everything too. And I did spend a lot of money to go to both of those. On top of that, the commercial mastermind virtual event. Yep. event we just went to, that was an investment. And I did another apartment building course. I bought an acquisitions course from Josh and Tiffany High. Like, I'm always spending on education. I've never stopped. The first thing I bought for education was If You Can't Wholesale After This, I Don't Know What to Tell You, the book. And then the book on negotiating real estate. So those 2 books I read right when I started too. And without those books, I wouldn't have gotten those first deals. So I can't say I just did it with no education, because without those books, I wouldn't even have known what to say to the sellers. So I think education is probably the most important thing. It's just, how fast can you implement that education?
Right.
Because if you like a for lifer and taking courses and then never do anything, don't waste your money. Just don't even try to wholesale, honestly, or try to do real estate. You have to take action.
I'm so glad you said that, because I do know people who are constantly wanting to educate, and get education, and they're just afraid to take action. There's people who are so smart that I've sat next to, and I'm like, well, how many deals have you done? Oh, well, we're still waiting on our first one. I'm like, I thought you've been doing this for years. And so I love that you said that it takes action. You can do all this education, you can watch all these YouTube videos, but you've got to get out there and take action. So I'm looking at you. This is, just audio for all the listeners, but in your window back there, there's snow. You are not in Vegas anymore, are you?
No. So I went on my wholesaling journey, and then I wanted to also flip houses, because I feel like naturally when you're wholesaling, you're like, well, I could have made 80 grand instead of 10 if I would have flipped it myself. So we get into that mindset, of course. And I wanted to flip this deal I got. So I tried to flip this deal, and I kind of got by contractors. And then it happened again. And then I was like, okay, I need to go to Ohio and try to manage these flips myself. So I moved here in October. I don't think it's going to be like a permanent thing. I really just wanted to immerse myself in real estate and get my feet wet in rehabbing. And it's so much cheaper. And because I built my network here already, it's so much easier for me than to try to get a hard money loan on a $500,000 house in Vegas,
right.
So it just made a lot of sense. And it's snowing, and I've never been in snow. So it's been a really great experience. I wouldn't trade it for the world. Even if I don't stay here, it's like the experience of living somewhere like this is definitely worth it.
Well, we're going to talk a little bit about your system specifically in a little bit, but I don't see that you're probably still sitting in that boiler room that you called it and doing these calls from 6 o'clock till 2 p.m. So what do you do now that, you've had this education, you've been able to build? So what does your daily schedule look like now?
Yeah. So now I actually have a partner now that I met through Instagram, and he's amazing at acquisitions, and I'm good at lead generation and dispo and all those things. So we basically split up the responsibilities. We have 4 cold callers, a lead manager, and kind of follow up / junior acquisitions, you could call him. He can comp and make offers, but he really follows up. And then my partner is the main acquisitions. This is kind of a new structure because I was still doing it by myself all the way through this summer, just with 2 cold callers and myself. Mm-hmm. But it just got to be a lot, trying to close deals, sell deals, do everything. So right now, that's kind of the system. I focus on the cold callers, them bringing in the leads, and then the dispo, the transaction coordination. And as it has become more of a seller's market as COVID progressed, and people weren't as much of in a frenzy to get rid of their properties now that, we kind of know what's going on, things did slow down. So because of that, there's so many more leads that need to be pulled, fresh leads that need to be pulled. So I manage all of that. I take care of my kids. I am like a, stay-at-home mom / business owner. Mm-hmm. And then still do my Hot Wholesale. I help people get their businesses started too, which I have my lives twice a week where we do Tuesday night and Thursday night, and I coach them. So I am always super busy, but it's fulfilling because, you're doing it for your family. So it doesn't really get better than that.
So you touched on where I was going with this. You are now you have expanded enough, you have scaled your business where now you have other people running that day-to-day stuff, and now you can give back, and you have such a following on Instagram. You have that brand just rocking Hot Wholesale, and now you have your own program where you help people. So you have two different parts to your education program. So tell the listeners about how you give back to the other wholesalers out there.
Yeah, definitely. First, my YouTube channel is where all the free information is. Like, if you watch all my YouTube videos, you probably could start wholesaling the next day. It's the same wormhole that I went into, is like, I just put it in one channel for you guys. That's my biggest give. Whenever people have any questions, it's all in the YouTube. It's literally all in that content. So,
and what's your YouTube channel called?
It's also called the Hot Wholesale.
Okay.
And I pretty much, have talked about everything on there. I literally don't have anything else to say about wholesaling that's not on there. So, but I also have a virtual wholesaling crash course. So diving really deep into picking your market. What are you looking at to even pick your market? How do you establish who you are in that market? Why it's important, what boots on the ground are, the people who are actually going to go meet these sellers for you, get the pictures, who's going to do all of these things that you can't do because you don't live there. Those are some of the most important things. And then how to talk to sellers, how to pull lists. Everything is in my crash course. It's only $100. And that's pretty much for self-starters. If you're like me and you can watch something and you're going to take action, I would suggest that. It's such a low barrier to entry. You can spend $100. And one of my students that took that $100 course has went on to make over 600 grand in a year, which is crazy. He's in Madison, Wisconsin. And a 17-year-old kid did a $135,000 deal, and I interviewed him, and that's on my YouTube channel too, just from that $100 course. So it has everything you need. But if people need more help, because sometimes people take that and they're like, all the information was really good, but I can't discipline myself to like step by step do everything. That's when I came out with the 30-day mentorship. So the 30-day virtual wholesaling, I call it the virtual wholesale 30, kind of like the whole 30, the food thing. Mm-hmm. Got the name from, but basically the first 2 weeks is education, step by step worksheets. We're going live twice a week. Did you guys get your, for sale by owners list ready, your list ready? What's your market? I check in with everyone. We go live twice a week, answer questions. And then the second week, they're actually calling sellers. You don't have to call. You get to choose your own marketing plan, budget. Everything it's obviously your business that you're building, but whatever your marketing is, you have to start it in week 2. So sending your texts, voicemails, calls, mail, whatever it is. And then we're generating leads and we're comping them together. They're making the offers. A couple of my students in November even got the contract signed and a buyer and the assignment signed too within the 30 days. Like, wow. Built their business in weeks and sold a deal in the second 2 weeks. So 2 people within 30 days actually closed both sides of the deal, which is crazy. I didn't even do that. So it's amazing to see people who just wanted, like Jim was trying to wholesale for 2 years and he lives in LA and he was trying to wholesale in LA and took this class and closed like 4 deals already since November because he went virtual.
I mean, that's amazing. So you heard me at the beginning of this episode and I did a badassery bestowment. So I have a question for you. Maybe this could be a badassery bestowment. How do you pick an area to virtually wholesale?
So there's so many factors. So I do have, if you guys go on my Instagram at the Hot Wholesale, in the link in my bio, you'll see something that says free picking your virtual market webinar. It's like an hour-long free webinar that helps you literally step-by-step pick your virtual market. But I always suggest that you pick a few because you want to juxtapose or look side by side, look at a few different factors like the population. You want to look at the average rent prices and home sale prices on PropStream in the analytics map because it will show you with colors what areas go for how much with rent and home sales. You want to look at the amount of cash buyers, which you also look at on PropStream. You want to look at Craigslist and Facebook, the Facebook groups of real estate investors in those markets. Are they active? Are they posting deals? Are people commenting on those deals? Do people buy? you have to look at those types of activities in those markets. Then you want to look at the growth, which doesn't matter as much. So in my program, there's like a scale. So you look at everything and then you pick your top 3 markets and then you dive deeper into them. And that's how you pick your number 1 market. So right now I'm in Ohio, Missouri, North Carolina, which is what we call our whale market because it's hard to get a deal, but when you get one, it's really big. And then the smaller markets. So it's not like I can say really easily how to pick your virtual market, but you have to analyze the different factors, weigh them against each other, and pick what works best for you. The other thing you have to look at is time zone. So if you're in California and you have a 9 to 5, you have to figure out where can I call that's going to work with my 9 to 5, because 6 a.m. in California is 9 a.m. on the East Coast. So if you have a 9 to 5, technically you can call from 6 to 8:30 before you have to leave to work and make calls in another market. So I call that leveraging your time zone. So you have to leverage your time zone. If you're on the East Coast, you can call the West Coast. So you have to look at all of these different things, and you have to pick a virtual market that not only is not oversaturated, but you're going to be able to market in with the time you have. Because virtual wholesaling, you can do this from any location. All you need is your computer and your phone. So from the beginning, when you're trying to do this, you need to pick the market that's right for you. That way you can be consistent in it. And then also get some leads so you're not discouraged. If you're calling and everyone's hanging up on you, you're going to get discouraged.
Yeah. Well, I think that is a great badassery bestowment. And I can tell how good you are at teaching others on how to grasp these concepts, because for you to immerse yourself in 72 hours and then come out a total badass rock star, it's like, it is. It is mind-blowing to me. So Tadi, give us some of these websites where they can find these courses.
So virtualwholesale30.com, that's for the virtual wholesale 30. So that has, I have the mentorship, right, where we have lives twice a week and it's $1,000, and you talk to me twice a week. We're also in a text message group on Slack where they message me throughout the day and I always answer. There's also like a course only version where you're not getting the lives, but you get the full 30-day course. And then you also get in the text message support group. So you can still text me questions. It's my priority. I answer everybody. And it's kind of like a mentorship without the lives. So I do that because I can only have 10 people in the live group, so I can give them a lot of personal attention, but a lot more people than that want to sign up every month. Mm-hmm. So I'm trying to figure out something to help that. And that's why I did the course only. And it's cheaper. It's half the price. It's like $470. So that's the other option for that.
What about the crash course? Yeah, sorry.
Yeah, no, you're good. So the crash course, that's only $100. That one is hosted on Gumroad. And if you click the link in my Instagram bio, it'll say discounted crash course, because it used to be like $150, but I lowered it so everyone could just get it. I saw people were still having an issue with that. They're like, can I have a discount? And I'm like, okay, let me just make it $100.
Well, that is awesome. And you provide such value to anyone that joins it. And I can just tell from the few times that we've hung out together how amazing you are at this. And by the way, if you get a deal in North Carolina, where I'm located, this girl's a cash buyer, so send them my way.
Oh, cool.
Yes, Raleigh, Durham, surrounding areas. I'm looking for a beach condo in Wilmington right now. I know that's where your partner is. So yeah, let me know. All right. So the second half of the podcast is what makes Tadi a badass, which is clearly a fact. And I use the acronym BADASS. So the first letter is book. What is a book that's made a huge difference in your life?
I don't want to sound cliche because this is probably the book everybody says, but when I was probably like 16 or 17, I read Think and Grow Rich. And that book definitely changed my life. That's what had me start my 6 failed businesses and led me down the road of sales and entrepreneurship, and is why I am where I am. And if we're going to be very specific to why I did great in wholesaling, it has to be the book on negotiating real estate by J.F. Scott. It's published by Bigger Pockets. It's literally the best sales book for exactly what we're doing, talking to sellers, all the strategies, and it doesn't make you feel skeevy or car salesman-y at all. Like, it's very real life, human. It makes you feel human. It doesn't make you feel like, oh, that's kind of gross. That's a weird sales tactic. That's too salesy. It's not like that at all. It's down to earth. It's good.
Awesome. And by the way, the number one answer to book is Rich Dad, Poor Dad, by the way. So Think and Grow Rich is a close second. But yeah, I sold Aflac for about 30 seconds. And so I was like, ugh, sales is just not for me. But real estate is actually all sales. So I am a salesperson. But anyway, I digress. So the first A in badass is advice. What is the best piece of advice you've ever received?
The best piece of advice that I ever received. So I'll keep it to life because I feel like I could do one for life and one for real estate. But the best piece of advice that I ever got was from my stepmom. And she said it in our language. I'm Ethiopian. It's Amaranya. But translated in English, it just basically means run while the sun is out. So there's always a time for opportunity for something. And if you're not running while the sun is out, eventually it's going to get cold, the snow's going to fall, and you didn't make it home because you didn't run hard enough. And basically what that means is you need to try your hardest while you have that opportunity right there. She used to say it to me because I used to be a rebel and the black sheep, and I used to just do whatever I wanted. And she used to say, hey, you have parents right now who care about you and love you and are supporting you. So you need to try to get on with your life right now. Run while the sun is out, because one day we're going to be gone. And that's going to be it. And wherever you are is where you are. You're not going to have any more support. And that always hit me hard. And she passed away in January of 2020. And that's when it hit me even harder. So when this opportunity came across my lap in April of 2020, a few months later, I always thought of her. And I always thought, wow, I can't believe someone said, yes, I'll sell this house to you, or I can do this deal. And I decided to run while the sun was out. And that's why I've been able to do almost 40 deals in this short amount of time, because I haven't let up. I'm always marketing, even when it gets hard, even when all my deals fall through and I lose money and I want to stop. I just keep running because, as you know, a lot of places are legislating wholesaling and stuff. What if one day wholesaling isn't even around anymore? Right. The sun's gone. So, what will I have built to be able to move on to another business? Any business you do, like, we all have jobs and then jobs end. You have to grasp your opportunity while you have it and do the most with it while you have it. So you never look back and say, man, I had such a good opportunity there and I didn't take it, and you're left with that regret. So that's the best advice I have for everyone. Keep running. Don't give up. The sun is still out. If you woke up today, the sun's out. So
I love that. And no doubt that you have a special angel watching over you, and is another reason why you are so successful. So say it one more time in Ethiopian, or am I saying that right?
Yeah. In Amaranya, it's Sahay Yalle Amlet. So while the sun is out, run.
I love it. And say your full name in your native language.
My name is Tadi Tedemet.
I love it. I was like, I can't say that. I'm going to let you say it though.
Just call Tadi. It's okay.
Tadi. All right. The D in badass stands for drive. So what drives Tadi to be successful?
Oh man. They can't see it. So the audience isn't going to see it, but I'll show you my vision board really quickly. I'm definitely like a big dreamer. I want everything for, myself, my family, my country back home. There's a lot of people in serious poverty. I definitely want to help change that situation. And of course, having kids, I think is a huge drive. I always knew I was like, I'm going to be a multimillionaire no matter what. It's going to happen. I just didn't know how. So it's even more exciting that now I know this is the beginning of my path. It's real estate. That's how it's going to happen.
I love it. Do you see my vision board right over my shoulder?
Oh, wow. Twinsies.
These vision boards, I got to say. So when you're staring at them, and I do one every year. So last year, or Actually, yeah, 2020. No, in 2020, not 2021, but 2020, I had a picture of a couple on there. My husband and I, it was represent the two of us working together side by side in an office. So I did it at the end of 2019. I had it on there. I was staring at, well, you got to be very specific because we sure as hell were sharing an office together, but it was because of the coronavirus. I wanted it because he had quit his job and we were able to run the business together full time. And so now I put like labels on there of exactly what I want done. And it's so funny. Yes. But anyway, I could talk about vision boards forever. It's literally right across my desk. I'm a big believer. So, all right. The second A in badass is aspiration. I'm a big goal setter, obviously. So what is a goal you are currently working on?
So, so as far as my wholesaling business, we want to be on track to be closing at least 3 to 5 deals a week, which is going to take a lot more leads in the system, more cold callers and everything like that. But that is the current goal, 3 to 5 deals per week closed. Some fall through, especially in these little markets because there's a lot of title issues and liens and, so 3 to 5 deals a week under contract. And hopefully, well, not hopefully, it will translate to at least 12 to 20 deals a month. That's goal number 1 for the wholesaling business. A goal for my online, everything that I do with the Hot Wholesale. I want at least 3 students every month in the virtual wholesaling 30 program to close a deal. And once they close a deal, like we're finding a buyer because I'm helping them get the number down. So even if I have to help you find a buyer, I need like people to get that deal closed on both sides, make that money and feel that satisfaction of like, yes, proof of concept, I can wholesale. So those are my 2 biggest goals for wholesaling, Hot Wholesale. And of course, my family, I do like work, family, spiritual, you know what I mean? Self type of biggest goals. So, yeah, I definitely spend a lot of time with my kids. So that's my goal for my family is to be able to next year retire my mom because the pandemic kind of put everybody in a big question mark situation. And now she's doing this and doing that, kind of trying to figure out what she's going to do. And I want to be able to at least say, okay, you don't have to work a regular job, but maybe help me manage this part and I'll just pay her mortgage and she'll be okay.
Well, I have no doubt you're going to hit that sooner than you think. I truly believe that. The first S in badass is systems. What systems do you have in place to help you achieve success?
So Podio is a huge help. It's connected with our dialer system we use, Smart Dialer. It's connected with our text messaging system, ClickSend. And our acquisitions are able to use Podio to keep track of all the leads. I think it's really important to have that when you're contacting so many people so people don't get left behind. And then also just the whole system of from cold call to close, having help and people, the systems are the people and the people are the systems basically. So not skimping on spending on really good people. I used to try to get like only $2 VAs, even if they sucked, but now it's like, okay, $3, $4 and you still are, and you're really good. You can do full time and then you can add on more and more of those. So those are my main things. Podio, helping with virtual assistants, and then that everything is together with the dialer, Podio, texting. You can do everything right off Podio, which is really important, I think.
I love that. And I would not even think I don't use Podio, but I have people who just swear by it. And, it's so important to have something in there that organizes everything for you. I'm currently trying to squeeze our systems into Google Workspace, and it's killing me right now because I can't figure out how to put tasks into a space and vice versa. But anyway, so help me, Google, if anyone's listening. But yes, I do love that you have that, and that's awesome to have all that organized.
Is everything in this business. Like if you have leads coming in an organization, you might as well just be like literally flushing money down the toilet. You're spending money, not closing that lead. So that's what we're trying to really tighten up on right now.
Awesome. All right. The final S in badass is success. What does success mean to Tadi?
For me, success is when my dream life is like, I wake up in the morning, I go do like a long workout. I have nothing to do after. It doesn't matter what I do after this. I can go get a smoothie. I can go get my hair done and my makeup done and go take pictures. I can do whatever I want. I can take my kids to Disneyland. And while I'm doing all of that, like the wires are still hitting the account. Everyone knows what they're doing. It's not SOS 911. What should I comp? How do I comp this? Let me help me with this all day. It's like peace, and I can go do whatever I want all day. And everyone in my family is taken care of. And all the goals on my vision board are still being hit and being worked towards. I don't ever see myself not creating new goals. So even when I hit everything on my vision board, I'm going to create new ones. But just being able to wake up in the morning and not having to work, but everything still being fine. I think that's probably the biggest success to a lot of people, just being able to spend time with their family and not have to work if they don't want to.
Well, I love it. Thank you so much. And one more time, tell the listeners how they can find you on social media.
Yeah, so on Instagram, that's the best place to reach me for anything. And all my links are on there too. So if you guys follow me on Instagram at the Hot Wholesale, you'll see the link in my bio. There you can find my YouTube, my courses, my free webinar, a prop stream free trial, like literally everything that I have, freebies, all that stuff is right there in the link in my bio on Instagram at the Hot Wholesale.
Well, we talked briefly about my friend Terry Thayer runs the TAB event, the absolute best, and it's in Jamaica. I hope to see you there in September in Jamaica and sit poolside, sip some cocktails. I just have really enjoyed this conversation. Tadi, thank you so very much.
Thank you so much for having me.
And that is all. Thanks for listening. We will catch you on the next episode. Now go out there and share your badassery. And don't forget, make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye. Whoop, whoop.
Thank you for listening to RAIN, the Real Estate Investor Growth Network. Be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcasting platform so you never miss an episode. If you need more badassery, you can follow Jen Josie by visiting therealjenjosie.com or become a member of RAIN by registering on rainmastermind.com.